Think and Grow Rich, the movie, one of the greatest crowdfunding kings, my friend Brandon Adams, everybody! Yeah! Woo! Yeah! Bring it! Come on, come on, come on, come on! That all you got? Woo! Yeah! Yeah! Save me. I like that. I like this crowd. You guys are action takers. You're here. You're motivated. Dude, I can feel it in my heart right now. You feel that? You feel that? You with me? Yeah. So overnight success. Everybody talks about that. The overnight success. It happens. You get lucky, right? John was talking about how he started 20 years ago. And 58 people, it was 150 people that he had. And he said, hey, you got to do this and do it by this time. And 58 people made it. Those 58 became millionaires. And people say, oh, maybe he got lucky. He's the right people. But people don't see what he had to do to get to that point. People don't see what the 58 people had to do to become millionaires. You see, nobody talks about the failures they went through, the obstacles, the being negative in their bank account, sleeping in their truck. I've been there. Who slept in their truck before? Yeah? Being homeless. Nobody talks about that stuff. Nobody talks about what it takes to become successful. They talk about once they're there. So today I'm going to show my journey, share it with you, how you can relate to yourself, and the journey it took me to get my so-called overnight success. The first question is, what does success mean to you? Think about that. I want you to think about that during this entire speech and tonight, because that is so important. The sooner you can figure out what your own version of success is, the sooner you can get there. I've traveled the country. I've interviewed hundreds of entrepreneurs, from homeless to billionaires to celebrities, to the most interesting people in the world. And what I've learned is the people that figure out what they want in life, those are the people that actually get there. Most people don't know. So I want to hear right now, what is success? Shout it. What does success mean to you? Freedom. Financial freedom. Happiness. Happiness. Yes. So, you're going to learn from my story. Here's some stories. You can plan ahead. How an invention that I spent over $100,000 into led me to crowdfunding. I didn't make that $100,000 back from that deal. How I became a crowdfunding king. Actually had it on news. They said king of crowdfunding. How I went from doing Facebook Lives. Who's doing Facebook Lives in here? You're going to after I'm done with you. By the way, he's talking about doing video later. I love that. You were talking my language, man. I love that. By the way, give a round of applause for that. He gave a great talk today. And also, the last speech almost had me in tears. That guy is a hero. They allow us to live the American dream. We're sitting here and being able to live the American dream. Give me a round of applause. I'm going to talk about investing in relationships, how they're so powerful, how my relationships have led to million-dollar deals. I'm going to talk about how in 16 months I went from an idea in my head on a beach to 16 months later, 2 Emmy nominations and a TV show ready to release. I'm going to talk about the journey of that. So I have this acronym, TRAIN, how to train for success. You can take pictures here. If you're like me, I suck at notes. I have ADD and I forget things sometimes. So if you need to take a picture, take a picture. How to train for success. T is take action. Number one thing, when you leave here today, you better take action. Don't go home, be motivated. 3 days later, like you said before, do nothing with it. You have to take action. Our relationships. You are the average of the 5 people you hang out with. Who's in your circle? A, add value, as John said. Heck, I spent multiple projects I've done, I've spent months on without expecting anything. I added so much value, but what I got in return was way more than I could have charged. So I had massive value in life. I is investing. Even if you don't have money right now, it's investing in yourself. It's investing in relationships. You don't realize there's things you can invest in without even having money. So investing, and last one is never giving up. As Napoleon Hill says, you can't beat somebody that never quits. You just got to keep going. If you keep going, you'll eventually see success. So go into deep, take action, make things happen, follow up, get shit done. That's how I like to put it. Get it done. Relationships, build your inner circle. Build it. Invest in people. Because people can help you. Add value, add massive value to others. I'm going to talk about investing in relationships, knowledge, and your brand. Another thing he talked about, your brand's everything. It's what you stand for. And then never giving up, don't ever quit, and just keep going. So I want to start by adding value to you, if that's all right. Can I do that? Yes. Who would like a $1,000 gift? Yes? Yes? Good. Only because I love John, I'm going to do that to you right now. But I'm going to make you do something for it, because if you don't, you will not value it. So I put together this basically vault and system of everything I've done over the past 5 years. You saw the overnight success video. I show you the journey, interviews, everything. But you have to do something. Okay, this is a lot of steps. I'll forget them all to take a picture. You don't have to do it now, but take a picture either with me on stage or we take a picture later, whatever. I prefer to take a picture with you later. Post it on your Instagram. If you don't have Instagram, get it. Who doesn't have Instagram in here? Yeah, don't raise your hand. You're getting an account tonight. I'm going to show you how to do it, brother. I'm showing you how to do it. Post on Instagram, tag me, use hashtag Brennan T. Adams and Thick and Rich. I like that one too. And then if you do that tonight, before I go to bed, or at 4 a.m. when I'm waiting for my plane to go to Minneapolis tomorrow, I'm going to see you on Instagram. I'm going to see all the people that tag me. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to message you all, and I'm going to send you a link to get a free access to the Academy. That's worth over. People pay me $1,000 for that. Would that be cool? Yeah? Okay, sweet. Let's do that. Get the cameras out. Start taking the pictures. Ah! All right. So there's me. I'm from Iowa. Who's from Iowa in here? No? Do you guys know where Iowa is? Anybody? Nobody knows? Oh, he knows where it's at. It's somewhere in the middle of the state. So I grew up in Iowa. That's the town of Garnavillo, Iowa. How many people in my town? 700. 700 people. So the town of 700 people, we had a grocery store. They shut it down. They shut it down. There's a place I love to go eat there. There's what do you call it? Toma's Dairy Bar. If you ever go through Garnavillo, Iowa, best breakfast. Coffee, everything. Anyways, small town Iowa, that's where I'm from. So I wasn't near a city. I didn't have many connections. You know, you go to these cities and there's influential people. Dude, I live in a small town around cornfields. Like, I didn't have any connections there. But I grew up in Iowa. There's me. Isn't that kid cute? Yeah. Look at him, Boy Scout. Cute little kid that loved chocolate. So there was me at a young age. I like to show that so you can see where I began. You know, most people wouldn't believe now, but I actually grew up with an impediment. So why I really relate with Think and You're Rich is, I don't know if you guys know this, but Napoleon Hill's son, Blair, he was born deaf. And what Napoleon did is he put into his subconscious mind that, hey, don't let that affect you. This is your advantage. I related with that because I grew up and I had a speech impediment. So I grew up with a lisp. I couldn't communicate well. I got bullied. I hated the fact that I was so different than everybody else. And when you try to take conversations and avoid them because you cannot communicate correctly, it's not fun. And you're different. So what I did, and before I even read the book Think and Grow Rich, I was applying the principles. I just didn't know it. I was in front of a mirror. This persistence, this could be for anything. I said, I am a great speaker. I said all the words. I said, I'm a great speaker. I'm going to be great one day. I'm going to be a great salesman. I didn't know that I was going to go have a TV show or sell or whatever I was going to do. I said, I'm going to be a great person and I'm going to be able to communicate well. I impounded in my brain that I could be a great speaker. I was like 8. And then when people came up to me and made fun of me, they said, do you have a lisp? I said, no. What are you talking about? I started to believe myself, and after time, I actually improved my speech. I was able to communicate well. That's why your subconscious and what you say, how you communicate, I hate it when people say, I suck at this. Like, I can't do this. You're hurting yourself by saying that. You know, sometimes the confidence I have, John and I are very confident people. We're talking about this. We have so much confidence. Some people are like, oh, you're ignorant. No, we're just confident. That's our way to do things. Confidence. I want you all to have confidence. So I grew up in the ice business. Yes, you can make money selling frozen water, believe it or not. I know. Has anyone heard of that? Like, I sold frozen water. I still to this day, I own the company. I bought it from my dad 5 years ago. He started in 86. I was born in 89. I grew up, people played baseball. In the summers, I slung ice. I made money doing that, and that was my beginning. So I got to see, like you see all these online companies or, hey, follow me, and I can show you how to make $100,000, and I'm on the beach or whatever the hell they have out there. I think to myself, have you ran a real business? Like, I got insurance, I got trucks, I got employees, I got all this shit that breaks down. I got all these headaches. Like, I ran a brick and mortar business. I still have that. I understood entrepreneurship, but one thing my dad taught me at a young age is always add value to people and always do good to them. Be a good person. Because when you do that, great things will happen to you. So college, who went to college here? So I got that guy B. I got a 1.68. So I got a 1.68. Let's round of applause for that. Come on, 1.68. Like, yeah. That's why. So that's me. I played rugby in college. I did a little too many drugs, alcohol. I mean, be real. The entrepreneurship endeavors I had in college was selling moonshine. Like, I was selling to the dorm rooms. The problem is when you drink, do drugs, and you don't go to class, I guess you fail. So I actually, sadly, I got kicked out of the dorms 5 days before. I used to fight. There's a lot of things I'm not proud of I used to do. Fighting. I mean, where I kind of had my rude awakening is the time that a guy pulled a knife on me and I'm on the ground and I had 5 guys kicking me in the head. And I realized that I'm not in a good place right now. I need to find a different group of people. Like, seriously, that was a wake-up call. And honestly, the book that saved my life was Think and Go Rich. Seriously, like I will say this all day. The reason why I wanted to add so much value to that team and everything they did, I believed it. I would die for it because it gave me everything I had. I was sitting in my dorm room. I'll never forget this. Sitting in my dorm room, and I'm reading this book, and I thought, I love the Henry Ford and Andrew Carnegie and all these stories, Thomas Edison. And I thought to myself, I'm no different than them. What do they have? They have dreams, they have desires, and they didn't quit. And I thought, that's me. I'm going to do that. That's going to be what I'm going to do. So that instantly changed my mindset. I knew one day, I don't know how long, I was 20, I'm 28 now. That was 8 years ago. I read the book and I didn't look back. I didn't care what other people thought. So this was my first endeavor, an invention called Arctic Stick. That was my first idea. I was going to apply the principles of Think and Go Rich. You can go on Google, you can search Brandon T. Adams and search Arctic Stick and you'll see all kinds of stuff. Me pitching, get on USA Today, pitching on Shark Tank casting call. I did all kinds of crazy stuff. I took a selfie with Lance Armstrong on Ragbri. I did a lot of stuff. But that invention was my first idea I wanted to apply. I wanted to move forward with. And I didn't know how inventions work. I had this idea for a product to cool and flavor drinks. So what did I do? I found a mentor. I saw in the book Think and Go Rich, you find your mastermind, you find your mentor, and that's what I did. So I went to this guy. So Jack Barringer, who's ever seen him before? He's a crazy guy with a cowboy suit, a cowboy hat, and he was on infomercials. He made millions on infomercials. He had the largest arm wrestling federation, this machine that you do arm wrestling. He made him over $1 million. He actually was on Shark Tank. You can see he was ringing in the bell there with Kevin Harrington and the rest of Mr. Wonderful and the rest of the Sharks. But this is a guy I wanted to learn from. I knew that what he had, I wanted. So what did I do? I hired him. I dropped $10K. So this is, I push people, so when people say they don't have money, that's bullshit. It's BS. Like, seriously, because there's always a way. I was right out of college. I was broke when I had bills coming in. I didn't have any money. And what I did is I went to my friends and family and I pitched to them, and it was like in 3 weeks I raised 10 grand. I paid it back within a year. I raised the money, I threw down, and over the next 2 years I ended up paying him over 25 grand. It was the best investment I ever made. That investment made me 100x. Invest in yourself. Seriously. And don't say no that you don't have the money, because that is not the right thing to say. There's always a way. So I invested in myself, and heck, right away it led me to, or I guess the question to you is, are you investing in yourself? Raise your hand who's dropped more than 10 grand on a mentor. 25 grand. Raise your hand. 50 grand. Who's spent over 100 grand in personal development? Stand up. Give her a round of applause. Give her a round of applause. And I bet you made it back too. You'll get it. Trust me. Congrats. That makes me happy seeing that. Invest in yourself. So that led me to 3 months later getting on a pilot run of a TV show called America's Got Money. Jack was the guy that put it on. A couple of people on set there. One was Noah McNeely, who I ended up partnering with later. I was in his inner circle. Tana Gertz, who worked directly for Donald Trump here for the presidency. She is one of my mentors. She was on The Apprentice. So these became my mentors. I pitched this, and I realized after pitching in front of people, I'm like, I like this camera stuff. I like being on camera. And while doing this, again, I was going after the invention idea. I want to take this idea to market. But what I learned and what you can take away is when you're going after something, sometimes there's signs along the way that tell you, hey, there's something else I can go after. Hey, there's a reason why I went after this, because I found this. And mine was, I realized I like being on camera and I liked this TV stuff. So what did I do? I invested in modeling and acting. And yes, that's me doing a beer commercial. Yeah. When you have your friends snap you and be like, I just saw you in this beer commercial. Or I got another one where I'm jumping over a couch and it's still running. It's like this years ago. And I'm like, if they knew that I have my own TV show now and all this stuff come out, I'm on some random commercial cheers and, hey, this is Iowa Tap Room, and drinking a beer. Talk about the commercial. Your past. I mean, anyways. So I invested in modeling and acting because I wanted to get better. I didn't know what it was. I remember calling up I didn't know what age it was. I said, hey, I want to try this. I want to get my feet wet. He gave me a chance, and I did it. I didn't know what I was doing. I was scared. I'm like, I show up and try to, it's weird your first time trying to like be all sexy and shit, and doesn't look right. And then you're like trying to act. Like acting's not acting. You just got to be weird, you know? But anyways, that was what I did. So I learned. I tried. So this is me while doing the whole Arctic journey and doing the modeling and acting. I did a crowdfunding campaign. Who knows what Kickstarter and Indiegogo is here? Yes? Okay, so what I did is I did a Kickstarter campaign for Arctic Stick to get the last leg of funding. I had to raise 25 grand for my invention. I did that, and while doing that, I realized that there was a need for people needing to raise money. It was so hard. Like, raising money is not easy, and I've raised millions since then. Last year, for a company, raised over $30 million in a year for a company, and I started doing $25,000 campaigns. So for this campaign, I realized that, hey, people need raising money talent. They need somebody to help them raise money. So I had to find my specialized knowledge. At that time, I didn't really know what it was. So in the chapter, Think and You're Rich, one of the principles, Laffy asked before, like, what are the principles? I got to think of persistence and belief. Oh, shit, I can't remember them. But no, specialized knowledge is one of them. So I realized, what is going to be my specialized knowledge? So I realized crowdfunding was going to be it. So crowdfunding, helping people raise money. I said, I want to be the best in the world. I saw where the market was going. I knew that people would need that service. So where did I begin? This is what I knew. I knew I needed to learn from the best. I needed to build my personal brand around crowdfunding, and I needed to start doing campaigns. You see, most people, they say, I want to be the best of this, but they don't go and actually do it. They don't actually go do things. You have to disrupt. So I started doing this. I knew these three things, and so I started. I went and started a podcast show. Who's got a podcast show here? Anybody? Yeah? I like it. I'll be your guest. Awesome. But a podcast show is powerful. Here's what happens with the podcast show. One, you get to pick people's brains. I hate using that word, but you get to learn from people. and you're building rapport with people, so you get to build a relationship with them, and it can lead into opportunities. I leveraged the hell out of my podcast show for so many connections that now I do business with today. I started the podcast show 4 years ago. So not only if you create your own podcast show, but you can go on others. This builds your brand, but also it builds relationships with others. So I travel the country. I once did a trip to L.A. You guys ever been to the L.A. Fitness Center on Vine Street in Hollywood? Yeah. So you'll never look at it the same way again. So I once did a 10-day trip around LA and back with my truck. I slept in my truck every night. I slept in the parking lot of LA Fitness Center. I negotiated a free week pass. Don't tell them I did this. I negotiated a free week pass, and what I did is I went to a seminar. I wanted to learn about going on TV, and I was doing a podcasting tour at the same time. So what I did is I had eat canned food, and then every once in a while, I treat myself to a $5 footlong because, hey, why not? And I would go, and to shower, I would work out in the morning at the gym. I'd roll out of my truck, literally in the parking lot. Hope nobody would see me. I would go shower in the gym after working out and then start my day, and then I'd come back around midnight and then do it all over again. It's a good hack. I had no expenses. I didn't have to pay for a hotel. I could have paid for some hotels, but I thought, why not put that in Facebook ads at the time? I'm like, I'd rather reinvest it. So I did a podcast tour. I would build relationships with different people. So one of the persons that I end up reaching out to do a podcast show with was Chris Hawker. He's a good friend of mine now, mentor. He's also mentored Lewis Howes, if you know him. Him and I actually just recently did a consulting deal with X Prize, which is a company I look up to, is literally changing the world. But Chris Hawker was the best in crowdfunding. I always say, find the person you want to become and learn from them. So I traveled all the way to Ohio to get a 45-minute interview with this guy, and I learned about crowdfunding. He became my mentor. I learned from him. I took the time. So when somebody says, hey, like John keeps saying, hey, be here at this time, and people follow up, do that. If you have an opportunity to spend an hour with John Shin, do it. If you're not doing it, then you're passing over opportunities. You're being poor. Make sure you take up opportunities, which I always did in life. And then I started to build my brand, write a book. So a book shows that you're an authoritative figure. Who has a book in here? Really? Raise it high. I can't. Yes. Dude, I love this guy. You got a book? Okay. Who else? Okay, a book is anybody can write a book. I got a D in English. Like, come on. I wrote the book in 3 days. It was only like 80 pages. This is back in 2015, before they were doing all the Amazon right now it's like you become an Amazon bestseller. But at that time, it's like, hey, I want to publish this damn book and be an authoritative figure in the industry. So I did that, and people took me seriously. It was crazy how it's like, oh, you're an author. Okay, I'll have you on my morning show. So that's what I did, is I started going on TV across the country. And I went in 2015, I probably went on 35 morning shows. I've been in Nevada, Las Vegas, Phoenix, LA. You name it, I've been there. And I was investing in my brand. So I talked about that acronym trained. For the investment side, I invested in plane tickets. I invested in sometimes hotels. I invested in the opportunity to go on TV, because what I did is not only would people see me, but I downloaded that clip and I put it on my website. Because what happens is I found out when people see you on video and they see you on TV, they're like, you're the expert. And at that time, I only had one campaign under my belt. One campaign. But it was your perception. It was the brand. And then through my podcast show, I leveraged it. And I had a guy that came on my show who was the guy that ran this magazine. And after it got done, he's like, hey, anything I can do for you? I don't know, whatever. He's like, well, I got a magazine. Maybe we could do a story. And instantly, I'm like, okay, I'm going to run and follow up on that opportunity. Most people, we'll wait and I'll do it next week. Within 2 hours, I sent him professional photos. This is why it's very important to invest in professional photos for your personal brand. I sent him some photos I had from my modeling, and I sent him the story. And 3 months later, I got on the cover of Inventor's Digest. It cost me nothing. That would cost, I don't know how many thousands of dollars. And I was in the back, in the inside of the magazine, the like reorder thing, for a year. I'm like, what? This is awesome. But I invested in my brand. It was perception. So where things changed for me is when I met this guy. Who's listened to Entrepreneur on Fire? Okay, awesome podcast show. John's a great guy, good friend now. So John has his show. He's got over 1 million listeners. It was a daily podcast show. So I had him on my show after multiple reschedules, and I interviewed him. But the one thing I did at the end of every show, which everyone should do, is, hey, here's what I do. Here's how I can help you. If you need my service, let me know, or if you know anyone, just like he had talked about before. So once I did that, I said, hey, I'm a crowdfunding expert, which I only done one campaign. He didn't know that. And I have a book, and I showed I was on TV. I said, hey, here's what I do, and I'd love to help you. And he said, I'm actually looking to do a campaign called the Freedom Journal. And I'm like, aha. So what I did is I followed up right afterwards. I ended up spending a whole next day creating a page for him, a log and everything. I sent it to him. I spent like the whole day on it. I didn't ask for anything. And I added value to him, massive value. So he's like, I like this kid. I like this kid a lot. So I took action. Taking action is the most important thing. Like, you could learn so much in the world, but if you could take one thing away from today, is take action. I've always just jumped on things. Just like he said, like, I literally just got off a honeymoon. The only reason I'm here is because of John. Like, I had something already planned and telling this. My wife had kids coming over for the weekend, which I kind of got out of that. And so I came here for 44 hours to speak. But I took action because I didn't know who I could help in this room. It's opportunities. And when you're on somebody's mind and you're in the room with them, you build relationships, which lead to things. I've always done that. Always show up, just like you're showing up today. So my action taking led to a campaign which we did 6 months later. So I spent 6 months on the campaign. By the way, I didn't charge him anything. I knew that if I helped this influencer, it would help me in many ways. So we ended up raising, it was over $100,000 in 33 hours. We raised $453,000 in 33 days. We made the 5th largest crowdfunding campaign in history. I was all of a sudden an overnight success. Just like that. They didn't see all the times I slept in my truck and all the times I didn't get paid. But that campaign started my career. So I want to go into investment. I invested 6 months of my time into the project, no pay. I invested in the relationship with John Lee Dumas. I invested time and knowledge from the campaign. I put in the time. I didn't expect everything. There's a lot of people that say, what do I get? What's in it for me? They want to get paid right away. What's the pay? When people work with me at first, they don't get paid right away. Prove yourself. What is your worth? So that was my investment. My return on investment was 3 times on EO Fire. I think there's only like 2 other people out there that have been on the show 3 times. One of the shows I went on led to over $50,000 worth of sales, which one actually led to a good relationship and a friend, and he's now my chiropractor in LA. So from that, it also led to working with X Prize, Kevin Harrington, Think and Go Rich. These are all things, these deals, people saw that, like, oh, you did that for that guy, do it for me. And then I charge high for it. It led to a deal, which I'm going to talk about later, that made me over $1 million. It's worth over $1 million for one deal through a connection and signing a damn paper. That is the power of adding value. That's 6 months. Heck, he could have paid me $10,000 a month. That wouldn't have been close to what that was. So use your knowledge to get whatever you want in life. It was Robert Kiyosaki who said in Rich Dad, Poor Dad, he said the most powerful thing we have is up here. If you learn to invest in that and learn to use it properly, you can get whatever you want in life. So I use crowdfunding for multiple things. I crowdfunded multiple companies. One of them is an event called Young Entrepreneur Convention. I had this idea one time to bring in 10,000 people to Iowa. Heck, you're probably wondering, is there even 10,000 people in Iowa? I wanted to do this event, and I told everybody I'm going to have 10,000 people there. 2 weeks later, I went to the Unleash the Power Within. This was 2015. And I went to the event, and there were 10,000 people there. I'm like, oh, my God, that's a lot of people. But I shot for the stars, and I landed on the moon. I'm like, I'm going to do this. So that crowdfunding campaign we did, we raised the money, we got sponsorship, we put it on the event, and we had 500 people, which is still a lot of people. If anybody's put on events, they know getting 500 people in a room is hard. I hired Cactus Jack to come in. I hired John Lee Dumas, Kevin Harrington, Ken Shamrock. You can see him in that picture. This is like our fun picture. A couple of guys had drinks in their hands. That was John, actually, with a drink of tequila. Sorry, John. Yeah, that was him. But that was our crew. And so I invested in those speakers to come in, but I knew that I was building my brand. I was building relationships. So invest in relationships and invest in your brand. So here's a hard thing that people see. I work with a lot of real estate agents. I work with a lot of entrepreneurs. And people are like, how can I see the tangible return on this? Your brand. Investing in video content. Investing in photos. Investing in all these things. Here's the thing. It's going to be time. But it's worth it over time. It compounds. And see, people buy from who they like, trust, and know. Right? At the end of the day, like, there could be somebody that is doing way better than you in terms of the service, whatever, but if they know you, they're going to go to you. So you build up your like and trust with people, and the best way I know how to do that is through video and pictures. So I invested in that brand. So one of the guys that came to the event is named Greg Rollette. He's an Emmy award-winning producer, also one of my mentors, and now a brother from another mother. He was at the event. He actually saved my ass because at that time I didn't have enough money to pay one of the speakers, and he came in and paid 10 grand last minute to sponsor my event. Thank you, Greg. And Greg came in, and he said, hey, Brandon, I have this thing I do in Orlando, Florida, and I do a master class, and it's to teach on whatever it is the expert teaches on. He said, I'd love to have you come down and do crowdfunding. And he said, fly in and we'll do this together. And first thing came in my mind, like, if you ever listen to Outwitting the Devil, you think about, like, the positive and negative. Right away, the negative came, like, I got to pay for a flight. I don't have time for this. I got so many things going on. What if we don't do any sales? But I trained myself that anytime that negative side came in, I knocked it out and said, I'm going to do it. So I did it. I'm so glad I did. So I flew all the way down to Florida on my own dime. I went there, and that opportunity led to us doing a course together. The course didn't generate enough to cover my costs, but one of the things that he did was he said, hey, I have this idea for a TV show called Ambitious Adventures. And he said, I'd love to have you help me crowdfund it. And I'm like, oh, now I know why you want me down here. And I'll make you a co-host. And I saw an opportunity because I'd done podcasting. I love video. I'm like, I'm going to act on this because here's my opportunity to do my own TV show. And I'd never done it before. I'm like, what is this? So I acted on the opportunity. I went all in. So when you see opportunities, whether you see it today, you see it tomorrow, you see it whenever, you act on it. And you're going to have fear. You're going to have something inside of your head that says, you shouldn't do it. Or maybe you're going to have family members say, don't do that. Trust me, I got those family members. We're going to have people that are going to be negative. But you have to go for what you believe is right. And you act on the opportunity. You do not look back, and you just go all in. So that's what I did. I went all in, and in 60 days, we launched a campaign. In 28 days, we raised our 50 grand. And then 2 weeks later, we filmed our first episode in Iowa because I was from Iowa. I said, we have to come to Iowa. So we filmed our first episode, which was a great learning experience. It was a great episode, but it's our first episode filming as co-hosts together. So we learned. Every episode, we got better. And we went on to winning the Emmy nomination, and the show went on to go on Amazon Prime, Facebook Watch, and Entrepreneur Network. It's been seen by millions of people, and it's because we acted. We acted on an opportunity, and I didn't know what a TV host, I didn't know how to be a TV host, but I acted on it, and I learned. It's just like when I did crowdfunding. I wasn't really I did one campaign. I said I was an expert. So you have to just believe in yourself. Because when you believe in yourself and you act on things, good things happen. And I kept going. See, I didn't stop. There was a lot of hard times. We had a network deal. Most people don't know this. We had a network deal where we're going to be in 60 million homes. And the person we had to deal with, they ended up going bankrupt. Literally, I found this out after I moved to Florida. But we kept going. And everything happens for a reason. You see, when you have failures or something goes wrong, just know there's a reason for it. Then God has a plan. There's something better on the other side. So there it is on Amazon next to the Jack Ryan and all these shows. But I think it's pretty cool to just be able to see hey, I have a show on there. And I remember calling my dad up and said, hey, I got an Emmy nomination. And he's like, son, what's that? I'm like, you're from Iowa. I get it. So I got this video I want to share with you because this is totally true. I love sharing this because this video is all about what if you woke up one day and you wondered, what if? What if today you're presented with the opportunity and you could take it and it could change your life? Or you don't take it and one day you wake up and you wonder, what if? You all know what it is. And think about what should you be doing right now? They say when people are on their deathbed, a lot of things they say is things that they wish they would have did. Or they lived a life that they didn't want to live. Please don't be that person. Do not live a life that somebody else wants you to live. And whether that's a family member that wants you to live that, or it's somebody that you think is your friend, you can only decide what you want to do in life. Invest in growth. So always be investing in the future. I always look at, okay, once I get this one step, what can be the next step? So after having a TV show and getting the Emmy nomination, okay, I'm like, what's the next step? And we had kind of decided Greg had just another kid and his family life, so another season of Ambitious Adventures wasn't going to happen. And I said, okay, I'm going to use my track record to go out and make more money. So I started a media company called Accelerate Media Group, and what we did is went out and we started making money. And I had great clients. We worked with real estate agents. I've worked with actors, celebrities, all the people on there, X Prize, people that are changing the world. And I got to learn from a lot of great people. And while doing this, I took my profits and I kept reinvesting. So I kept reinvesting because I'm like, I'm for long game, man. You're not going to become a billionaire by just holding back. Like, always be thinking bigger. So I kept reinvesting. So here's what I continue to invest profits in: relationships. So speakers, I put on many events where I paid speakers to come in. I hired them. I built that relationship. When you hire somebody to be a speaker at your event, you have a connection. So those are the connections I made. I hired mentors. I went to events. I went to not only events, but also I bought courses. I invested in my brand. So podcast shows, photos, videos. I always created videos all the time. And even I did a TV show called Live to Grind. It was like not like a YouTube channel thing, but what we did is I brought in it was an expensive show, and it was a show where we filmed working with clients. And then what I did, it was like a testimonial that I could use, but also it was content for them, content for me. And then we put it on Apple TV, then we put it on Facebook and put some ads to it. But I kept investing in my brand. So when people are like, oh, why do I invest in my brand? Like, what's so important about it? And this video is very important for this because it's so powerful. Kevin Harrington, so he's the original shark on Shark Tank. He invented the infomercial. He's had like 25 companies that have done over 100 million. Very successful guy, and my mentor today. And he talks about how his brand, how building his brand is what attracted the attention of Mark Burnett and why it's so important for people to build their brand today. Raise your hand if you're going to build your brand after today. Yeah? Okay. It's powerful. It's a game changer, especially in the industry we are here, in all industries. I don't care what you do. And it's adding value through video content. It's putting yourself out there. It's giving the world so much value that they're going to go to you instead of somebody else. Because if you don't put that value out to the world, your competitor is going to do it, and they're going to take your business. So invest in your personal brand. So that led to me getting, investing in my personal brand led me to the Think and Grow Rich movie, being a part of that. I mean, this movie, round of applause for this movie, what John Shin's done. I mean, come on. It's sold over 160 million copies. It's changed lives. It's made millionaires. It's made billionaires. 8 years ago, it literally saved my life. And now I'm here today speaking to you because of that book. The fact that I got to be a part of it was a game changer. And that was a whole new level for building the brand. To be in the book, the next book, Think and Grow Rich Legacy. Who's bought the book? Dude, if you don't even raise your hand if you haven't, because I'm going to be mad. Get the book and get it tonight. It's a great book. It shows entrepreneurs of our time who have achieved success in their own way, and it's just a great book to go right alongside with Think and Grow Rich. And also, what I always suggest is read that book, read Think and Grow Rich, and Outwitting the Devil together within a month. And it's like a powerful mastermind between Napoleon Hill's mind and also just the things we came up with James Whitaker. So it also led to the opportunity to be on the red carpet, interviewing Barbara Corcoran. She is a character. She is so funny. Bob Proctor, Rob Dyrdek, and all these opportunities that I would have never dreamed of. Like Rob, I used to watch Ridiculousness or whatever the hell Rob had. I'm just like, dude, I'm interviewing this guy. I wanted to ask him so many funny questions that weren't like in terms of business-wise, but all these cool people, and Bob Proctor and Barbara Corcoran, she was funny as hell. And just the experience to getting that was powerful. Then I got to spend the whole day with John. Like, man, this guy is so smart. Who would, I mean, raise your hand. Who would love to have the opportunity to spend a day with him? What would that do for your business? Dude, the things I learned from him yesterday, like, I interviewed him too, so next week you guys can watch that interview. And he shared a lot of stuff about investments and money and just having opportunities like that. It's building up your inner circle. It's building up your profile, being around people that have done big things. So to be the best, you have to work with the best. If you want to become the best, make sure you're, for one, the room you're in. I always say be the dumbest guy in the room, learn from people. If you're the leader, the top person in the room, you're in a wrong room. So learn from people. To be the best, you got to be around the best. Next one. Who wants to become a millionaire in here? Yes? How do you become a millionaire? Go learn from a millionaire. Sir, it's simple. I know some people are like, oh, that's simple. But really, if you want to become a millionaire, get millionaire mentors. Okay, here's a ballsy one. Who wants to become a billionaire? Let's be serious. Who wants to be a billionaire? Who believes they have the power to make it happen? I like it. So how do you do it? You go learn from a billionaire. Simple as that. If you want to become a movie star, go learn from a movie star. If you want to become an athlete, vice versa. It goes down the line. So knowing that, what I did is I learned to get mentors in my circle that are not only billionaires, millionaires, people that have done the things that I want to do, and I learned from them. And I got them as mentors because I added value to them. I actually made them a lot of money. And what happens is when you pay people pay attention. And when they hear or they get a text from Brennan T. Adams, and they're like, dude, this guy made me a lot of money. They think money. And they think, good guy. And then they text back. So get that relationship with people. So who's in your inner circle? I want you to ask that. Like, who's the people in your inner circle right now? Or do you have the right people? Do you need to throw out some trash? You need to clean out your closet, as Eminem says. Dude, I mean, really though, I've had to do this over years. It's not easy. I have certain family members that I love them, but I don't talk with them. I see them. When I go home, I have this negative energy thought because it's a small thought process. They don't get it. Like, oh, Brennan, you're going to go save the world. Oh, Brennan, you're lucky. So here's the thing. Make sure you're in the right circle because that will decide your future. So relationships, knowledge, and brand equal massive value. So say it with me. Relationships, knowledge, and brand equals massive value. Invest in relationships, invest in knowledge, and invest in brand, and you'll get massive value, which is money. So it was worth over $1 million a deal I did. What I did is I kept building my brand. I kept building up relationships and adding value to people. And what happened one day is I made a few introductions. I brought up a couple people on the team. I used my crowdfunding experience to make a deal happen. As soon as the deal I made went on an exchange, my deal was worth $1.34 million. $1.34 fucking million. Give me a hell yeah. And I made more in that deal than I had made in the previous year, the whole year. And this is why I say you just got to keep going. Because when you keep doing things, you keep trying things, it's one deal away. He was talking about the whale. There's whales out there. But how do you find a whale? You got to go hunting first. You got to go out in the sea. You're going to find a lot of fish, but eventually you're going to get that whale. You have to put yourself out there. There's so many battle scars that I have and all people out there that have achieved big things. There's battle scars along the way. And their stories, but they learn from them. So relationships, I'm going to go quick through. Just hire mentors, pay consulting fees, make them money, have their back, help them achieve their goals, as Ziglar says. If you help enough people achieve their goals, they'll help you achieve yours. Knowledge, go to events, buy books, join masterminds, hire coaches, learn from expensive mistakes. The $100,000 I put in an invention to cool bottled beverages called the Arctic Stick, that was an expensive mistake, but I needed to do that to get to crowdfunding, which led me to TV. Brand, create video content regularly, post on social media. Hope we're all doing videos later together and we're doing selfies and we're pushing out content because content is king. Write a book, go on podcast shows, create your own video series. These are all things you can do. So there is my wife now. It's weird to say. I got a ring on. It's like so weird. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. So as I'm getting to the last few minutes, I know we got to be out soon, getting to the transition I made in my life. So I had all these things happen, and I came to this point where I wanted to see what's next. What is life all about? What does success even mean? And I was in Puerto Rico, and we're having a drink, and we're like, what's next? And I read an article by Mark Cuban. He said, live in 5 cities in like 5 years before you're 30 or something. And I thought, why don't we go live in 12 cities in 12 months? And she's like, yeah, that'd be cool. I'm like, let's film a TV show. Yeah. And she's like, what? It took about 60 days of enrollment, like me trying to enroll her in the idea. But I was very persuasive. So we made it happen. And so we did that, and she jumped on my back. I gave her a piggyback ride across the country. No, but really, that's just us doing a photo shoot. That was us doing a photo shoot to get ready for the process. But yeah, we did go across the country in a vehicle, and I went back to what I knew. So I knew relationships, knowledge, and the connections. I knew these different things. So what did I do? I went to the relationships I had made at the event, Young Entrepreneur Convention, that I put on 3 years prior. And the guy the guy with the cowboy hat is the Cactus Jack, my mentor. But on the other side was Jeff Hoffman. He co-founded Priceline.com, Hollywood producer. If you guys ever seen the movie Cabin Fever, he helped produce that, and he's done a lot of other cool things. Self-made billionaire. Then next to him is Kevin Harrington. I went to Jeff and Kevin. I said, will you guys be the executive producers of this TV show I have, concept called Success in Your City, and be the mentors and help us with it? They said yes. I had built a relationship with him. Okay, next, knowledge. I took my knowledge from doing a TV show. One of the guys down there is Sean Vella. He became the director of my show. I don't know how to use a camera. I press play on that Canon 70D back there, but to run a camera and edit it into professional stuff, no, I bring it together. I brought the best in. So I brought my director and I said, hey, I want to do a show. So I brought my knowledge. I took my brand. I took what I did with my TV show and Think and Go Rich and winning the Emmy nomination, and I leveraged that to do forward with my show. I create a strategic plan. You all have a plan. Who writes their plan down on paper? Yes? Write your plan on paper. Make it very strategic and write down specifically how you're going to get there. People say, I want to become a millionaire. Okay, how many products do you have to sell? And what are you going to do? How are you going to market that? How are you going to market it to get X amount of sales in the first week, second week, third week? Tell me your strategic plan. I created a strategic plan. I sat down for days with my wife, and we created a plan to do this show. We set out to do 12 cities in 12 months. Again, like I said before, I shoot for the stars, I land on the moon. After the first city, we realized that was not feasible and that was not going to happen. I wanted to make it happen, but reality kicked in. So I learned to make a pivot. In life, when you go for big things, sometimes you got to make a pivot. So we had to make a pivot and say, okay, realistically, we can get 5 episodes in, 5 cities. We traveled to like dozens of cities, but to actually live. So what we did is we go to a city, we live in it, we have to find the scenes, and I put a lot of my money in it, but then we get sponsors, and then, so you got to fund a show. It's like one thing to create a show, but you got to fund it. We'd fly in our crew, we'd film, we'd go to the next city, find a place to live, and do it all over again. It's a very interesting process. So made it happen. We went to 5 cities, and I'm going to share with you what I learned about success from interesting people and how you can apply it in your life. So the first city we went to was Scottsdale, Arizona. Who is a Red Sox fan in here? Go Red Sox. They won. Yes. So Shea Hillenbrand, 2-time All-Star. He played for the Boston Red Sox. He played for the Dodgers. He played for other teams. He made $20 million in his career. He left the game at the prime of his game because he wanted to spend more time with family. Within, right away after leaving, he bought a $5 million zoo. I can't even make this stuff up. He bought a zoo, and it cost a lot of money. 3 years later, he lost all his money. His wife left him, and he was sitting on a van wishing that God would take his life after he took a bunch of pills. And he's sitting there, and he said, all these people envy me and this person, that identity that I was, but I'm here, and I'm so lost. And he got through that moment, and he went on to go speak and share his message. But what I learned from that moment is, for one, you don't realize, all these athletes, they go, they make a bunch of money, and most of them go lose it. And what he does now is he helps those athletes understand what it's like after baseball. Because their identity is that sport, but after that sport, they don't know how to live in society. So I learned is use your voice to help others find their voice, and also be careful what you wish for, what you want in life. He was like one of the most famous people, but he was miserable. Next city we went to, Austin, Texas. I learned from a family, a real estate company in Keller Williams, and they're one of the top in Austin. And they used a percentage of each sale they had, which I think everybody should do, to help go towards their nonprofit, Kane Cares, to help fund where they go into homes and the people that needed it and renovate it. So we got to go in, and we had this on camera. You get to see it next year on the show. We helped the elderly couple, redid their roof, we redid the floor, we helped them clean, we did all these things for them. What I learned from that experience is it's your duty to build a team or to become very successful so you can help others. Use your talents to help other people. Next one, we went to Boston. So David France, at one time he was homeless in Boston, 7 months. He was homeless, and he had no money, and what he was doing is he wanted to build an orchestra. Most people would have quit and went home. He literally had meetings with billionaires during the day, and he slept behind an aquarium at night. And he wasn't going to let that situation define him. He kept going, and he basically crowdsourced and got 28 violins donated, which those aren't cheap, I found out. He got a bunch of people to donate their time for teaching, and he got a space donated for doing the actual orchestra. He built this orchestra, and now multiple kids go through it. He's changed many lives, and he's a TEDx speaker now. He travels all over the world. I've hired him to come speak at my events. And what I learned from him is be resourceful. He didn't have any money, and to this day, actually, he doesn't have very money, but he's one of the wealthiest guys I know in relationships. He got me a meeting 2 months ago to NBC. He's met so many people. You know why? Because he adds value. So think about that. What can you do? If you don't have any money right now, don't let that define you. You just don't have it yet. Use the resources, the connections, and everything you have now to get to the things you want. Be resourceful. You're an entrepreneur. The biggest thing I learned from, that's my wife. So her success is being truly happy with who you are and what you're doing in life. When she was a little girl, she was a gymnast. At 14 years old, she went to her friend's house, and her friend's brother introduced her to meth. At 14 years old, she was addicted to meth and about every drug there was. At 14 years old. Who has kids in here? Imagine that. She somehow managed to get out of drugs. And then she went into an 8-year abusive relationship. Mentally, physically, sexually, every which way. The worst freaking relationship you can think of. I try to hold back my anger towards a person I've never met. And if I ever did meet him, I don't know what I would do. One day, she got up and left everything. She left everything she had. She had to even leave the dog she had. And she drove to Florida. And she inspires me every day. And now what I learned from that situation in that episode we did in Denver, we had women that did women empowerment. It's all about women empowerment and women how use fitness to drive their future. What I learned is don't let your past define you in a negative way. Let your past fuel you for your future. And that's what she does. She uses her past to help other people, other women, and she uses that anger from the past to fuel her in the gym and to help other women in personal training. Don't let your past define you in a bad way. Use it to fuel you to go further. The last city we did was Nashville. We featured a musician. Who in here is a musician or sings or anything? Yes, I like that. Awesome. One thing I say, people are like, oh, it's tough to make it in the acting industry. It's tough. I mean, you could be like Johnny, just make a bunch of money and then go create your own movie. I mean, I did the same thing. I didn't get a lot of cool acting jobs, but I just created my own show, and here we go. But what a lot of people don't realize is in acting or in music or anything, if you just keep going and put yourself in the right position, I mean, you do night after night after night, eventually you're going to get some luck. And that's what she does. She's in Nashville now. She plays on Broadway. If you ever go to Broadway, go to Margaritaville. She plays every Sunday night. And we featured her story of how she's working to make it in the music industry. And it was so cool how I could leverage my connections and people I know to be able to help different people. And we went to Nashville. I get introduced to all these people. And one of the guys I introduced to, he helped Taylor Swift do 6 music videos and helped produce all these different things. So I made that introduction to her, and now they're connected. So I love the fact that I can help people through my platform. But what I learned from her is never quit, just keep going. Because if you just keep going, eventually you'll win. So there's us at the wedding John was just at. Here's our team. Here's our crew. I realize success to me is being the best you can be at what you do, but also my success is a girl I love, my relationship. Because that's what makes me better. It's proven, and Napoleon Hill says, the significant other can influence you to go further or to go back. So be careful who you date, who you marry, who you go into business with. But that was us at the wedding. That's the finale of the show. And what I'm going to share with you to end this out is I'm going to share with you the trailer of our show, which is from traveling the country and featuring different entrepreneurs and the version of success. And this actually got an Emmy nomination. We find out in 4 weeks if it wins an Emmy. And so we got 2 Emmy nominations this year. So leading from Iowa to Emmy nomination, this is a journey, and I hope you love it. That's my marriage right there. So 2-time Emmy nomination. The show got 16 months ago. It was an idea. We moved forward. We took action. There was a lot of obstacles, but we made it happen. It's amazing what you can do in a matter of 3 years, because 3 years ago, I just got in this industry. 3 years of hard work and surrounding yourself with the right people lead to great things. And I ask you, what is success? You know what it is? What I learned is success what you make it. It's only you can define your own version of success. Like, I can tell you what it is, but you all have your own version. And once you figure that out, go after it and achieve it. Achieve your own version of success. And I'll leave on this. I won't leave on this. This is actually second to last. But this is our success is helping others live their own version of success. So I want to use my craft, my talents to help other people make money, to help other people become known in their industry. I like to consult and advise people at a high level. That is my duty, to help other people through my talents and my experience. But I'll leave in the quote. So whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Every single day I say this. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Say with me. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. But whatever you think about the most is what you become. Be careful what you think about. Every single day, say this quote. Whatever the mind can conceive and believe, the mind can achieve. Whatever you think about the most is what you become. When you say your thoughts constantly, people will start believing in you and believing in your dreams. I believe you all should go out there, create something great, and become unforgettable, because life is too short not to. I'm Brennan C. Adams. Thanks for having me.